For Duel 152, we are doing a deck request for Machina Gadgets. I'm very surprised that I haven't been requested Machina Gadgets before, or that I just haven't used them before, because they're not a difficult deck to learn how to play. Sure, there's some texts here and there that are interesting that maybe may take a little longer, but Machina Gadgets on their own aren't really difficult to learn. So, well, anyway, here I have the deck, and the opponent's using a quite interesting deck. He's also using Machina Gadgets. The only real difference I can say between our decks is that the opponent uses, well, in the monster lineup anyway, uses Karakuris as an extra to Machina Gadget, and I'm using Traptrix. I'm using 2 Traptrix monsters, and therefore a couple of normal trap cards, from which one is Traptrix Trapple Nightmare. The opponent starts with Lavalval Chain. 3 set cards, so I'm sort of afraid, but yeah, I'll have to deal with them at some point anyway. I don't intend to summon the fortresses yet, due to the fact there's 3 face-down cards, and I'm kind of afraid of those. So I'm like, okay, you know what, I'll just summon Red Gadget, summon Kakechokage for Nixies, add Yellow Gadget, and then, like, for the next turn I can, like, Yellow Gadget, Machina Fortress for Machina Fortress, or summon Yellow Gadget first, and then use the Green Gadget that I search with it for Machina Fortress. Here I've been thinking, like, okay, yeah, we can't go into Gear, go into X, because Kakechokage is Reptile, not Machine. And then I'm like, oh, I could also go into King of the Feral Imp to get a Kakechokage for next turn with Yellow Gadget. But then I'm like, you know what, let's use Silence on our Arc, take his monster, and then still have the survivability for once. What I maybe should have done, but that's really in hindsight, knowing what he's going to bring, maybe I should have kept my 2 materials, because as you know, I love these monsters that save themselves from destruction by just attaching. And Silent Hunter Arc has a great effect too. So that's, if I can make rank 4s, he's quite easily in my extra deck. So yeah, I took away his monster. This cost him 1800 life points, but this cost me 1 survival. And if I would have known this next play they would have made, then I would have kept my 2 materials so that next turn I could have played Dark Hole and survived with Arcanite. That would have given me a great advantage, but I didn't. I decided on something else, so I can't really do much about that. I use my effect survive. I do take 400 damage, and the opponent now has Machina Gadget, Machina Fortress. The opponent has 2 other face-down cards, and I believe it's this turn. No, it's next turn that I make a big game-changing decision. But for now, I'm like, okay, what do? I could use Dark Hole, but I really want to save it because I don't necessarily need Dark Hole now. So I'm like, okay, I can just summon Yellow Gadget, get Green Gadget in for like the +1, and then Machina Fortress with Green Gadgets to summon Fortress. Fortress attacks into Fortress. He'll destroy something of mine. I'll destroy something of his, but I'll get at least one direct attack off. And the question is, what do I destroy? First option would be Royal Decree. Now, this is actually that game-changing decision. I can destroy Royal Decree. I'm like, because if he plays Royal Decree, he'll probably not play a lot of traps. But for some reason here, I had in my head that he would have traps, just in case I destroy Royal Decree with like Mystical Space Typhoon or something. So that would I destroy Royal Decree, he would just play the traps and just obliterate me. And I thought, you know, I have another Fortress, I have Dark Hole, I'm okay. I'll just take that card, because I'm more afraid of that. He can keep his Royal Decree. This, in the end, was the wrong decision, because his other face-down card is also a spell card, as will be revealed later. So what I really should have done is just destroy Royal Decree. Sure, he would have had his Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy my set cards, but then he wouldn't have been able to make the one play at the very end of the duel. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, for now, I decided not to do it, because I felt comfortable with Machina Fortress and Dark Hole. So here comes my opponent. I have Yellow Gadget left, so I'm like, okay, I'll just take these hits, and then next turn, Dark Hole. That's the idea. So the opponent plays Tin Goldfish, Yellow Gadget, adds Green Gadget. I'm like, okay, that is possible. Then the opponent suddenly adds Karakuri Watchdog, and I'm like, That's not a green gadget. But then, like when I wrote that in the chat, I quickly realized he's probably gonna go to Gigagant X, and Gigagant X can search for a machine, which would be Watchdog, because Watchdog is a machine. And then, as long as he adds green gadget with Gigagant X, it's all fine. And that's exactly what happened. So no issue there. If everyone makes mistakes, I do as all. So that's Gigagant X, and that's green gadget and the Watchdog in hand. That's the good one to remember, because I know what he has in his hand now. Just like with Vanguard, when the opponent does their drive checks, remember what they have in their hand. It could be helpful for later. The opponent summons Redox. I'm like, extra damage. I don't really mind, because it's not that bad for me. 1600 extra damage, but the thing is, Redox will go back to the hand after the end of his turn. I'm like, okay, I could Dark Hole here. Get me a free direct attack in, because I get 10 Goldfish, not great for this situation, but I can just use it to summon Machina Fortress. I can Dark Hole, get a free direct attack with Fortress. But I can just take out Gigagant X, save the Dark Hole for when I really need it, because I can take care of both of his monsters in one turn. Machina Fortress attacks Gigagant X, and Redux will return to his hand anyway. And it doesn't matter where Redux is, hand or graveyard, because he can use a summoning effect anyway. And I was really thinking of the summoning effect. What I wasn't thinking of, and that's just because, except for Blaster, I almost never use their other effect to discard them along with another one of their attributes to do something. In Redux case, special summon a monster from the graveyard. I never thought of that effect, because that is something Redux will be able to do in the hand. So Watchdog, Green Gadget, Redux. What's going to happen now? Saying Goldfish is like that's an amazing draw for him. Kage could have been doable, but then he wouldn't have been able to summon that, because that needs a machine type non-tuner. So Tin Goldfish was an amazing top deck for him. Into Burrito, summons another Watchdog. Now watch what he does now. Discards Redux along with Green Gadget to summon. Well, Tin Goldfish or a Gadget, it doesn't really matter. I think it's a Gadget, so he can add something. Yeah, he does that, adds a Gadget. If he even does that, no, he doesn't, but he summons them. Scrap Dragon. Scrap Dragon can just destroy my monster. Sure, I get the effect to discard a card from their hand, but he doesn't have any anyway. That's probably why he didn't add. Now it's 5,600 against my 4,900 life points. Yeah, in that sense, yeah. There's two cases where I'm like, in hindsight, I should have done it differently, but I couldn't have really known this, and he had an amazing top deck, so it was a great game. I had a lot of fun playing Machina Gadgets against Machina Gadgets. I'm going to see you in the deck profile in just a moment. See you there. Wrong button. Stop recording now. And here we are with the deck request for the Machina Gadgets. As I often do with deck requests, side deck is cards that I've considered that you could consider. I've tested with quite a few decks. I'm pretty comfortable with this deck. I'm like, I could change this, I could change that, but I'll go over that when we get to those cards. Starting off with the Gadgets, 2 of each. 1 of each doesn't work, because then you don't often actually get to be able to actually search with them. And 3 I feel is too much, so 2 of each. 3 Tin Goldfish, because it helps summoning the Gadgets. Gadgets also get their effect when special summon, so they can still search. Goldfish is a level 4 machine, so that helps with going into Gigagant X. Kage to Kage, another one that helps with seizing if you summon the Gadget first and then Kage to Kage. You can also do Goldfish, Gadget, Kage to Kage, like Goldfish activate, Kage to Kage, channeling 2 with SCGOC, summon Kage to Kage, then Gadget with Goldfish's effect. Works, and you have 3. Kage to Kage is not a machine, so you cannot go into Gigagant X, but you can go into pretty much all the other Xyzs that are there. 2 Machina Fortress, pretty normal. Sometimes people run 3, I prefer 2, feels good. And then 1 Machina Cannon as discard fodder once Fortress is in the grave. Then you can just discard Machina Cannon for Fortress. You'll barely ever use Machina Cannon's own effect, but it has happened to me that it has been used like once or twice in my entire dueling life. But it happened. 1 Machina Gear Frame. For a long time with Machina Gadgets, because I've played them before, like last year and stuff. I've played them before. Usually I'd run 2 or 3 Gear Frame, because I like it. I've also run Machina, is it Peace Trooper, something like that, Peacekeeper, which is level 2, because I'm like, what is the difference between Cannon and Peace Trooper? Well, the thing is, if Fortress is in the grave, then you don't have Fortress to discard, so then Cannon in that case is better. Like gear frame at 1, I always ran it at 2 or 3, but like I believe last week when I was talking to, I forget his name, someone, another Yugi tuber, was talking to him about Machina Gadgets, and he was like, hey, you should try just 1. Like, why 1? Well, I don't remember his exact reasons behind this. I was like, I'll test it, but I have it here in the side deck to remind me of the fact that you could definitely go with more. The focus here is a bit more on the gadget with Kage, the tin goldfish, and the gadgets. Therefore, gear frame not as important, but it does help you get into your fortress, or if fortress is already in the grave, into your cannon. So you can try with 1 gear frame. If you want to go with more, feel free to do so. 1 Redox, it's limited, so you can not really do much more. It can do a nice exceed with Machina Fortress into Draco Sack. And as you saw with the opponent, it can get you a nice special summon at a moment that you want it. Then I have 2 Traptrix Myrmilio. I decided this would be a good idea. It's an Earth, so it works with Redox. And it has a nice effect. It's unaffected by the effects of whole normal trap cards, so it's Trap Hole, Bottomless Trap Hole, any of those. When it's normal summoned, you can add a whole normal trap card from deck to hand. I have 3 of them. Bottomless Trap Hole, the one most seen. Trap Hole, because it's still quite a good card. And then Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. This card's effect reads, when a monster your opponent controls that was special summoned this turn activates its effect, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. In the duel, would I have destroyed Royal Decree with Machina Fortress, and would the opponent not have used Mystical Space Typhoon on this card, then I would have been able to use it on either their gadget that was summoned by Tin Goldfish and then activated its effect. I could have also used it on Gigagant X, which was special summoned, then activated its effect. It also has an effect that when it's special summoned, you target. Why is this so slow lately? I don't know. DN's been being slow. Maybe downtime? I don't know. But anyway, when it's special summoned, you can target a spell or trap the opponent controls and destroy it. I'll get confirmation once this loads. Yeah, target a spell trap with your opponent controls, destroy it. It's mandatory. But yeah, that would have helped. Like if I had like 10 goldfish and this, so I would have been able to take care of Royal Decree that way. But doesn't really matter. But anyway, Myrmilio works with like your Xyz combos, because Myrmilio Kage means you can Xyz and Myrmilio adds one of the whole trap cards. If you go 10 goldfish Myrmilio, you could still Xyz into a rank 4, and then Myrmilio gets to destroy something. So it works with both of the two. Jagudia, because it's a nice hand trap and it works well, I'd say in gadgets. It works well in decks that focus on mostly just one, or completely just one level of monsters and then go into Xyz that way. Jagudia can copy a level 4 and help with Xyzing into something that is not called Gigagant X. And in like level 4, I'm pretty sure is the most common level still, so you could like discard a gadget or Machina Gear Frame or Traptrix to take control of something. I don't often see that effect. I more see that become that level to help Xyzing effect, but Jagudia I'd say is a helpful card here. I was trying out Rank of Magic Numeron Force for Utopia into Utopia Ray Victory. Utopia Ray Victory I feel is better than V. Especially because if it attacks, the opponent cannot activate spell trap cards until the end of the damage step, sort of an Ancient Geared Golem thing. Then Masquerade and Chaos number 104, like number 104, Chaos 104. I'm not here for Masquerade. It's Chaos number 104 that I'm really here for, but I'll get to that in a second when I go over the extra deck. I also have number 101 and Chaos number 101. These weren't originally in here. Because they have been a recent update. Originally, I had Maestro and Gemini Pearl in there, I think. Might have been one other as well, but I thought I use Arc more than I do Maestro, so I added that, and I'm like, I can go Chaos, and Pearl I barely ever use it anyway, so I added those two because they can be really good as well. Dark Hole I have here. I have Book of Moon. I have Limiter Removal because you're running machines, a lot of them. Why not use limiter removal? Foolish Burial to dump a monster in the grave. Machina Fortress if you have enough stuff to discard, or like Machina Cannon. You can also dump Redox to just activate its effect from there and summon it, or something as a target for Iron Coal if you really want. Originally this would have been Monster Reborn, but yeah, it doesn't work anymore. But Iron Coal still works on most of them. It works on all the gadgets, it works on the Gear Frame, it works on Tin Goldfish, so I still have 10 targets for it, so that's pretty good. 2 Mystical Space Typhoons, 2 Phoenix Chains, a Mirror Force, a Dimensional Prison, a single one of all these 3 hole cards, Traptrix, Trapple Nightmare, Trapple, Bottomless Trapple. Then I have Solemn Warning, I have Compulsory Evacuation Device, Torrential Tribute, and 1 Call of the Haunted. And once again, it triggers the effect of Murmilio, and it triggers the effect of the gadgets. So yeah, Call of the Haunted is helpful. Get an extra card in. It's also helpful getting the 3 level 4s together if you want to go into number 104 as well. As for the extra deck, I have Gaga Cowboy, Abyss Dweller, Diagust Emerald, Lavalval Chain, Diamond Dyer. There's no Beast Warriors, or Wing Beasts in this deck, but so I don't see myself using it often, but it can happen if you really need the Kamikaze. Number 50, Black Ship Corn. Number 101, Chaos number 101. Chaos number 1 can be really nice. I haven't used it much, but to be able to give it extra survivability, giving you life points back to just take their opponent's special summon monster without detaching something, like the original 101 needs to. Nice. King of Feral, Imps to search for Kage Tokage. Gigant X, some people run it at 2, and I felt with the other mons that I wanted to put in, it works at 1. I guess 2 would be, in a sense, a safer option if you often go into those exceeds. I quite often do, but I barely ever get into trouble with like wanting a second one, so that's fine. Utopia, because it's pretty good, but it can rank up into Utopia Ray Victory, which I really like, and then 104 for the effect of Chaos 104. Please load. It loaded Masquerade like immediately. Thank you. When this card is special summoned, you can target a spell trap on the field and destroy it. That's just a nice effect. It's just nice. But it's the other card. When it has number 104 Masquerade as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated on the opponent's side of the field, and this pretty often happens, you can attach 1 Xyz material from this card, negate the activation, so that stops the effect for 1, send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. That's nice, and it's not discard, so Dark Worlds won't trigger from this. And if you do, halve your opponent's life points. It's especially the third part that I'd say is really good. To negate the activation, there's a nice combo with it, so they still don't get off what they want. And the fact that you can negate the activation, pretty much stopping their effect, also makes them just not want to try and use effects anyway, so they can't really push as much as they want to. So that's nice. And then the final slot is for rank 7. I could have also put Big Eye there, but I felt that Dracosac in more cases is the better one of the two. I was considering testing Shining 31, Utopia 1. Haven't used it, don't see myself using it much. With me using rank ups, I was like, I can use Ragnar Zero, but unless it's a deck that really focuses on like increasing or lowering opponent's attack, it's not going to be really good. I have a deck completely built around Ragnar Zero and its effect, so I'll very likely show that off at a later time. Maestroke and Pearl, because I remember them being there originally. Well, Maestroke for sure, Pearl I don't remember. And then finally, a card I've considered is Limited Barion's Force, because that just requires you to rank up a rank 4 Xyz, and all of the rank ups go from 4 to 5, so then you can use this. The disadvantage to it is that you won't negate other cards' effects like with Numeron Force. Advantage is that Numeron Force needs the rank 4 and the rank 5 to be of the same type. So Numeron Force would only be able to go Utopia into this one, like the respective numbers into their Chaos forms, and I guess Gaga Cowboy because it's a warrior, also into Victory. But you could also use like Limited Barion's Force to rank up Lavalval Chain after using its effect into this one, into Umbral Horror Masquerade. Now note that you won't get their final effects if you don't rank them up with the original. Like, the only exception to that is Silent Underdark. You can have like 101 in the grave like from turns ago, and then this guy's effect would still be able to go off. But you'd want Utopia and Masquerade there for the rank up of the others. But limited Guardian Force can give you some extra options if you just want them for the first effect, like the Agent Gear Golem-esque effect of the opponent not being able to use spells and traps when you attack, and when Special Summon destroys something. So, it can be nice. It's up to you what you want to do. But for now, this was the deck profile for the gadgets, and I'm going to see you guys in a bit. Well, in a bit. Later. I'm going to work on a Cloudian deck. I haven't used Cloudians in a little while. Trying to finish that up. Cloudian deck request is the next one. Hope it'll work out. I remember it being a really hard deck to beat if the opponent has a nice field. Let's see how that one turns out.